This week marks the 2-year anniversary of a life-changing phone call. On March 28th, 2024, Tim Miller and Cheryl Guy called to invite me to candidate as your settled minister. I was nervous and excited. There's always a bit of the unknown on match day. Ministers sit by the phone waiting for their first choice to call and make it official. Without a doubt, you were my first choice. I knew deep in my soul that I wanted to join you in the great adventure of shared ministry, bringing a vibrant, flourishing vision of Unitarian Universalism to Durango and the Four Corners. Because of the time difference, my phone didn't ring until 11 a.m. Eastern Time. The wait was excruciating. And it gave me time to think. And as I reflect on the clarity that I held on that day, what I was most excited about was your commitment and openness to shared ministry and building a community anchored in tradition and justice while charting a future in which the fellowship is known as the Unitarian Universalist congregation of the Four Corners. I believed, and I still believe, that our dream matched. And I'm so glad I came to Durango to join you in this amazing shared ministry. But, what of this shared ministry model? What does it mean and why does it matter? Today you will hear several responses to these questions as the Committee on Shared Ministry reflects on the journey of shared ministry and shared leadership. The Committee on Shared Ministry was launched in spring of last year and is charged with the assessment and evaluation of the ministries of the congregation, including the office of the minister. This committee is deeply invested in securing the health and vitality of our working together to live our mission in the world, building a culture that centers covenant, collaboration, communication, transparency, and trust in our work together. Success in this context looks like growth and engagement, the capacity to innovate and experiment and move through conflict with directness, honesty, accountability, and love. When we are living well into our shared ministry and shared leadership, we can hold differences among us and remain in good, right relationship with each other. Reverend Marie Johnson, in an article published in UU World in 2024, described shared ministry like this, quote, "In shared ministry, we work together to bring out the best in one another." That seems right and good and possible. The article continues with this helpful definition. Quote, "Shared ministry means sharing in the responsibilities of the community. It's about recognizing that everyone has gifts to share, skills to share, valuing everyone's contributions, and realizing that while there may be different levels of authority, supervision, accountability, and reporting, at the same time, no one is more important than anyone else." This clarification is helpful as it exposes the complexity of shared ministry, which is at its heart, and as it reaches into the world, a web of relationships. And I wonder sometimes if there is an inclination to think of shared ministry more as a teeter-totter, with the congregation and the minister desperate to find the magic balance, so neither of us rises too high and the other too low, with one or the other looking up or down. In this experience, all of our energy is spent anxiously keeping the balance instead of investing that energy in bringing out the best in each other. It is easy to get distracted from the word, in the words of Stevie Wonder, it is easy to get distracted from the higher ground of our calling. Today, I celebrate that we are growing into a fuller, richer, more complex understanding of shared ministry, one that honors interdependence and mutuality, an interdependent web which is stronger and more resilient than a teeter-totter. I celebrate that trust grows as we talk openly about change and surface the discomfort of our growing together. When I arrived for candidating week, many of the conversations and questions I had with the congregation were about my style of ministry. I remember saying in one of those conversations, and I'll quote myself here, "There are very few decisions I make by myself." And we talked about that. And I heard some anxiety around ministerial authority, which is understandable. And I also heard hope, curiosity, and a longing to live our UU values well as stewards of this magnificent place. I heard a hunger to truly partner with a minister that will love you, respect you, grow with you, challenge you, and imagine the future with you. These past 2 years, I have endeavored to honor that call with care and wisdom. And I look forward to celebrating our shared future at a much anticipated, for me, installation service next September. I'm glad we waited. We really spent time getting to know each other and building a secure foundation on which to build a common future. And that feels very important to me. And I'm reminded, as I share this, that practicing shared ministry and shared leadership is also one way we embody justice in our congregation. It was one of the areas the widening the Circle of Concern Commission on Institutional Change encouraged congregations to engage back in 2020. It seeks to disrupt systemic injustice in our congregations and communities and opens our spaces to new ways of being, to creativity, and to the possibility of truly becoming the beloved community. And there's more. Finally, I want to ground this conversation in spirit and the love that lives at the center of our faith, and remember that shared ministry and shared leadership are spiritual practices that honor our relationality, interdependence, and mutuality as sacred and holy. It is one way we bear witness to the great mystery of our lives, to the source of all being. In many ways, we are because of each other. Maria Popova, in an essay reflecting on the works of James Baldwin, writes, quote, "The longer I live, the more deeply I learn that love, whether we call it friendship or family or romance, is the work of mirroring and magnifying each other's light. Gentle work, steadfast work, life-saving work in those moments when life and shame and sorrow occlude our own light from our view. But there is still a clear-eyed, loving person to beam it back. In our best moments, we are that person for one another." May this shared ministry be a place where we mirror the beauty of each other among ourselves and into the world. May that light be so bright that it is a beacon of hope, love, and justice to everyone. May it be so.
Hi, I'm Allison Andersen. I've been coming to this church since 2000, so that's over 25 years. And I'm here today to talk about our collective journey towards shared ministry. When we joined, we were meeting in the Smiley Building, and we were what you would call a lay-led leadership fellowship. In fact, we had been lay-led since 1967 when we were founded. We didn't actually hire our first minister until 2014. So think about that. 47 years of lay-led ministry. Meaning that for 47 years, we counted on our members to do everything, to make all the decisions, which wasn't easy given the classic UU joke about consensus building. How many UUs does it take to change a light bulb? First, we need to form a committee to explore what value there would be in changing the bulb, whether darkness or light is preferred by most of the fellowship, and whether the bulb really wants to change. So just think about the culture that came of 47 years of lay-led leadership. I would think most would agree that we were a get-her-done group of people who were accustomed to taking the bull by the horns and making things happen. Back in 2013, a leadership transition team was formed to explore the hiring of a minister. Aline and Tom Miller and I were on the team. We discerned through a very thorough study involving all members at that time that yes, we do want a minister. We also identified 5 developmental goals for working with our minister, with shared leadership being the highest priority. There starts the beginning of our journey towards shared ministry. During our first ministry with Reverend Katie, I think what most would agree that we had fits and starts in trying to practice shared ministry. We were new to the idea. We didn't really know how to work with a minister, let alone how to be in shared ministry. And maybe Reverend Katie didn't understand it either. Either way, most felt that we had missed the boat somehow. In 2023, when the ministerial search committee was formed to hire a new minister, we went through a similar process I just described. Again, we determined that shared leadership was a top priority. We searched high and low, and boy did we get lucky with Reverend Jamie. And there was that pivotal moment in the interview when she responded to a question with, "There are very few decisions I make alone that had a big impact." Now, fast forward to today, we've got 14 years of quote-unquote shared ministry under our belt. We should be really good at this, right? Well, some may say it's only been 2 years since Reverend Jamie got here. But we're smart, fast learners, and we have a terrific role model in Reverend Jamie demonstrating shared ministry at every pivot point. Even so, we still have some room for growth. It's a journey after all. Here's an example of me not practicing shared leadership. Can you believe it? Over a year ago, I became impassioned with the idea of bringing kirtan chanting to UUFD as an affinity group. And lo and behold, I got a call from Anna Poole saying, I'm ready to give back to the community. I want to offer kirtan. Do you think UUFD would be interested? I said, yes, absolutely. We set a date. We reserved the sanctuary. I got it in the newsletter. Check and done. And, well, not quite. Reverend Jamie was very gracious about it. She reached out to Anna to meet and learn more about Anna's background and determined that there was no misappropriation involved, which was a concern I hadn't even considered. My point is, we are in this together. We are no longer a culture of get her done and making decisions on our own. We have a responsibility to our members, to our minister, and to our mission to check in, to make sure all parties are informed, to get feedback on our ideas, to collaborate, to be transparent, and to build relationships. This is our part of shared ministry. It is a process, and we are moving in the right direction.
Hey there, I'm Liz Volz. Some of you, most of you may know that already. And I'm another member of the Committee on Shared Ministry. I'm going to talk about the responsibilities and roles of the congregation in shared ministry. As a member of the Ministerial Search Committee, I was also there for the now famous I Never Make a Decision Alone by Reverend Jamie. This statement applies to all of us as well. It doesn't mean we never make decisions on our own, just as Reverend Jamie has areas such as supervising staff, where she has sole responsibility. But what it's getting at a deeper level is an attitude of widening the circle so that everybody feels at home, heard, and included in congregational life. When we make decisions in our teams and committees, we can look around and see who else is affected and ask ourselves, who can I partner with in this? I'm a member of membership, and we have overlap with adult spiritual ministry and hospitality, and of course with Reverend Jamie, and even sometimes the BOT. We can think that shared ministry means the minister shares with us, but it's really a two-way street, not only with Reverend Jamie, but with others we work with as well. Working together and collaborating strengthens our beloved community and UUFD's mission in the world. When we entered into shared ministry, we entered into a big experiment in trust, transparency, and direct communication. This congregation is really good at showing up. We show up for our teams and committees, we cook food, we set up, we clean up. All of these are the roles of a congregation in a shared ministry. Another of our responsibilities, though, is to share ideas, concerns, and feedback honestly and openly. I know that I have been guilty of making side comments sometimes when something was not to my liking. Many of us have seen that list of core characteristics of white supremacy culture, something most of us inherited, but which does not really serve us. Perfectionism is a great big one on that list, and it means focusing on getting it right over being part of a learning process. The antidote to this is to foster a culture of accountability, collaboration, and vulnerability. That's a big one. Our responsibility, as we are growing, is to focus on appreciation for work done and to celebrate the talents and gifts of others. It's a shift from perfection to appreciation. One of our other roles in shared ministry is to take care of each other. This means bringing food to someone who's ill, but it also means a caring attitude. I really like the Circles of Trust workshops that I took here. One of the main things that stuck with me was to assume innocence, to be curious about what was going on with somebody else instead of jumping to judgment. Obviously, I'm still working on this one. She says, not true back there. Caring can also mean just taking a walk with somebody or offering encouragement and understanding. Lastly, our responsibility is to have fun together when we can. Dinners, game nights, singing, dancing, could I say dancing? And having a sense of humor about what is going on when possible is important. It feeds us, sometimes literally. Anything that encourages joy goes a long way to getting us where we want to go. Thank you.
So, everybody wake up. The heart of shared ministry is the magical space where the congregation and the minister come together, where we coordinate ideas and plans. It is where we share our talents and interests to bear fruit in rewarding programs. And I recently experienced this in a workshop that was entitled Intro to UU History with Reverend Jamie. Last Sunday, the membership team and Reverend Jamie collaborated on a seminar. And even though I had attended many sessions of the history of Unitarian Universalism, led by several different ministers, at the last minute, I remembered the workshop and decided to stay for it. And I am so glad. It was really cool. It was a rewarding afternoon spent in a very relaxed setting. And the workshop quickly became an enthusiastic exchange of ideas. We shared insights and perspectives on religion and politics. We considered deep questions about covenants and independence. And we also discussed how and when did our UU values and principles evolve, and why. So there were 8 of us, and we covered 1,000 to 2,000 years of Judeo-Christian Islamic history. And it was fun, I swear. Unitarianism and Universalism separately spread in North America. And as you know, they were influential in important social movements, like abolition of slavery, women's right to vote, and civil rights. It was really cool to learn about our principles and how they paralleled what was happening in North America. 3 hours, truly, whizzed by. And I experienced joy in reflecting on our values. The participants shared personal histories. We also have a deepened understanding of our faith and values. I keep talking about values. That's a big word for me this month. Anyway, the seminar embodied what I feel is at the heart of shared ministry:
When we work together, we have fun, where we find new understandings and we develop closer friendships. That's where we can exchange ideas, perspectives on religion, and even politics. Notice that, speaking of politics, I'm using sort of a third grade level of language here. That's the way I think. I'm sorry. Anyway, in that seminar, we were living our principles and our covenant, our particular UUFD covenant, which involves the free and responsible search for truth and meaning, active, respectful listening, the inherent worth and dignity of every person at the table, and the importance of shared learning in community. I forgot to set my timer. Oh, well. I love this, a captive audience. I've been looking forward to this for weeks. Anyway, I'm a retired college talk too much lecturer, so anyway, and I'm kind of frustrated, you know. Anyway, sorry, I have to cut up. Anyway, we are all ministers of this fellowship. We are co-creators of our shared ministry. That involves trust and mutual respect, which are at the heart of our shared ministry. Reverend Jamie has an open door policy, so if you'd like to talk to her, you could send her a text, an email, you could call, you could stop in and chat if she's there. Except on Mondays, we talked about this, only if you're in the hospital on Monday. Do you have concerns? Is there something you'd like to see more of? Which of our programs do you enjoy? I encourage you to share your ideas with the people and the teams and the committees who might be involved or affected. Maybe you have a garden suggestion that could be shared with Building and Grounds, and Aline, and Reverend Jamie, and Carol. Maybe you have an idea for the new building. Please share it. And also ask yourself, how active are you in our faith community? Maybe check out a new affinity group, new to you, or a committee or a team. Let's be creative in how we support each other and our shared ministry. Your gifts are needed. Let's be curious, reach out in kindness, ask questions. We are equal partners in shared ministry and the sacred work of our congregation. Through mutual support and frequent communication, we can do great things in our fellowship. Thank you. And I love you guys.